Hey guys, I'm George, the nice merry gentleman, and it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. Today I'll talk about 10 out of 10 clones. In other words, clones that are so good that you don't really need to chase the original fragrances that they have been inspired by, because they offer good quality or very good quality in some of the cases, because they offer performance pretty almost as good as the original fragrances, and because they only cost a fraction of the price of the originals. And today I'm going to show you 10 of them. Let's start off with something very strong, something pretty much beastly. It comes from the brand of Rasasi and it's called Opus Black, and this fragrance is a clone of Nishane Hashivat. Probably right now this is the best clone of Nishane Hashivat that you can get, and probably this is the strongest clone of Nishane Hashivat that you can get. This fragrance, especially performance-wise, pretty much rivals the original when it comes to total longevity, and in my experience it actually has the original beaten when it comes to the projection, because again this is super strong, super loud. And the other good thing about this fragrance is the fact that it's also a very versatile fragrance, just like the original one. The original often gets compared to Creed Aventus, and it does carry some of the Creed Aventus scent style, because it has some freshness in the opening, has a bit of fruity sweetness, has some smokiness going on, has a bit of woods, some oak moss on the dry down. It's a very versatile masculine fragrance that you can wear throughout the year. And Opus Black gets very close to the original scent wise. The quality is also pretty good, and again the performance is probably superior compared to the original fragrance. Now keep in mind that this is so strong that some people may find it a bit obnoxious, especially in the first few minutes when you spray this one. This has a very high level of oil concentration, but if you don't mind strong fragrances, and in fact if you like beastly performing scents, I think Opus Black is a great choice. Costs pretty much half the price of the original, even less than half the price of the original for 100 milliliters in this case, whereas the original at double the price point of Rasasi Opus Black comes in a 50 milliliter bottle size, so you're also getting a pretty good deal. The next fragrance that I've included in today's video comes from a brand called Gulf Orchid, and the fragrance itself is called Yacht Club, and this one clones a fragrance from the brand of Zerzhov, which is called 40 Nuts. The original scent is an interesting, quite unique masculine fragrance that I know a lot of people seem to find smelling aquatic or marine. In my personal opinion, I've never sort of realized those comparisons, because for me the original fragrance smells ambery, smells woody, has a bit of freshness and some spiciness, and Yacht Club from Gulf Orchid actually sort of emulates the original scent quite well. Now it's not a one-to-one clone. This is, to my nose, feels like having a little bit more ambery sweetness compared to the original, but it still has the woods as well. It still has the slight spiciness and maybe a hint of the greenness that the original fragrance has, and it's another one of those very sort of versatile masculine fragrances. Quality is really nice, performance is good. It's not as good as the original. The original is quite strong and lasts for a very long time. This one is more, I would say, on the good performing side rather than strong or super strong, but still, considering again the price point of this fragrance, which is around about 30 something euros or $35–40, this is still a fraction of the price of the original, while still offering good quality and pretty good performance. And in fact the added sweetness may sort of make it a little bit more likable for a lot of people out there. So Yacht Club from Gulf Orchid is the second fragrance in today's video. The next one that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Ahmet Al-Maghribi, and it's called Brule, and this is a very interesting clone with a bit of a twist. This is cloning Parfum de Marly's Altair, but again it has a bit of an interesting twist. Now, just like the name would suggest, this has a sort of a creme brulee note included in here, has a bit more fruity sweetness compared to the original fragrance. Overall, this is a slightly darker, slightly thicker, slightly sweeter take on the scent of Parfum de Marly's Altair. But in the air, this still smells pretty close to the original fragrance, and if you are familiar with Altair, you'll immediately recognize that the Brule from Ahmet Al-Maghribi has been inspired by Altair itself. The quality is really nice. In fact, pretty much everything that I've tried from the brand of Ahmet Al-Maghribi offers really nice quality. And in the case of Brule, this is again very true. Also offers pretty good performance. Now initially when I first got this one, it wasn't such an sort of an impressive performer, but I've had this for a few months now, and the more time passes the stronger this actually gets. And in fact, a few days ago I gave it a wear and it easily lasted 8 hours on my skin. So if you like Altair, and if you don't mind a bit of sort of a gourmand touch added to the scent profile of Altair, then Brule I think is a really nice fragrance that you can check out. Also, it's sometimes can be found for a very good price among some of the cheaper clones of Altair. All around, I've been really impressed with Brule from Ahmet Almagribi, and that's why it's part of today's video. The next fragrance comes from the brand of Fragrance World, and it's called Oud Madness. And as you can probably guess, this one is a clone of Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli. But this again has a bit of a twist. It's a clone with a bit of a twist. In this case, this has a fruity twist. Now, it has a lot of the same notes as the original fragrance. You get the agar oud, you get you know, the leather, you get the passion fruit included in here, you get a touch of the rose. But the way that this is different compared to the original fragrance is that I find it to be like a lot fruitier than the original scent. In here you'll find the leather note toned down a little bit compared to the original fragrance. Also, the floral touch from the rose note is definitely also toned down. So you still get the leather, the agar oud and the rose plus the passion fruit, but here the passion fruit actually takes more of a center role compared to the original fragrance. This also smells like almost smells like I would say like a fruit wine or something like that. I don't know if you know, if you get what I'm trying to say, but this is a very interesting and quite an unique take on the original scent. In my opinion, this is a little bit more versatile than the original because it's a little bit fruity, slightly less strong, also maybe a little bit more unisex compared to the original fragrance. The quality though, considering that this is pretty cheap, is actually surprisingly good, and also the performance is really nice with this one. Easily 89 hours of performance, projecting really nicely, and this costs around about 25 euros in Europe, so it's like a tenth of the price of the original fragrance, and it's been a really nice find for me personally. The next two fragrances that I've included in today's video come from the brand of French Avenue. The first one is called Fert. It comes in quite an unique looking bottle that's very heavy. And of course, this fragrance is a clone of none other than YSL Baby Cat. So if you know how Baby Cat smells, then you know what I'm talking about in here. It's vanillic, it's leathery, it's smoky, there's a bit of tobacco in here, some spices. It's a nice unisex fragrance. I personally find the scent profile to be leaning a little bit to the feminine side, but I also know quite a few guys that actually enjoy this one. And this is probably, along with a fragrance from the brand of what was it, Arabiat Prestige, Nile Queen. I think Nile Queen and Fert are the two highest quality Middle Eastern clones of Baby Cat that you can get. This may be feeling like Nile Queen as well, maybe are a little bit sweeter than a Baby Cat itself, but other than that, they smell both of them very close to the original fragrance. Quality is really nice with Fert. Performance is also very good, easily lasting 8 hours, projects really nicely. It's a great fragrance for the cold weather. It's a great fragrance for people who like vanilla based scents, who like a bit of sort of smokiness in their fragrance, a bit of suede leather. Overall, the quality here is superb, and it's a really good fragrance. It's a little bit more expensive, one of the more expensive clones featured in today's video, but I think it's worth it if you like a Baby Cat and you're looking for something a lot cheaper, because even at a slightly higher price point, this is still a lot cheaper than Baby Cat itself. The next one, again from French Avenue, is called Opus Magnum, and this one smells a lot like Amouage rolled tobacco. I've said this a few times already, that I've mentioned this fragrance in some of my videos, but when I saw this one and when I heard that it's a clone of rolled tobacco, I was really skeptical that you know, rolled tobacco can be, the scent of rolled tobacco can be replicated at such a low price point, because even though this costs around about 50-55 euros here in Europe, so $60-65 in the US, this is still a lot cheaper than the original fragrance, and I know for a fact that the original uses a lot of natural, high quality and expensive ingredients and materials. And this, at this price point, I was really skeptical, but to be honest, I've been quite impressed with the quality of Opus Magnum. Now again, it's not a one-to-one clone. This feels a little bit fresher, a little bit lighter, because you know, the original is very dark, very sort of a gothic style of a scent. And this, although again it's very dark on its own, compared to the original, this is still fresher and lighter. But I think French Avenue have done a really good job with Opus Magnum, because they have replicated the scent profile really, really nicely, especially considering the price point, again, the price difference between the original and this one. Performance is strong, pretty, I wouldn't call it exactly beastly, but lasts for a very long time and also projects quite strongly. It's weaker than the original fragrance, but not by that much. And again, it just costs a fraction of the price of the original. Just keep in mind that I think this one is not safe for a blind buy purchase. I think you should definitely try to sample or try this one before you pull the trigger, because this is very dark, very heavy scent that's quite unique and not very easy to wear. The next one that I've included in today's video comes from the brand of Ryhan, and it's called Ryhan Crimson. And this one is a clone of Crete Centaurus. And I just recently reviewed this fragrance a few days ago, and I'm actually quite impressed by Ryhan Crimson. I think it's a very, very solid release from the brand of Ryhan, and it smells quite similar to the original fragrance. So it's a tobacco-based scent that has a lot of spices, has some pepperness, has some cinnamon, has quite a bit of sweetness as well. But at the same time, up top, it has a nice amount of freshness that really makes this easy to wear, and you know, a good fragrance for those of you who like the note of tobacco. It has really nice quality, it offers very good performance, lasts for a good amount of time, projects nicely. Also, it's one of those fragrances that while testing, it's brought me quite a few compliments as well. So people seem to like the way that this one smells around, you know, in the air. And all this for a very acceptable price at around about 30 something euros, so $35–40. Again, very, very a lot cheaper than the original fragrance, while offering good quality and good performance. And this has been a very, very good release from the brand of Ryhan, in my opinion. The next one that I've included comes from the brand of Paris Corner, and it's called simply Farah. And this one is a clone of Initio's Side Effect. Now, I had my eye on this fragrance for a few months, but I just, you know, either didn't buy it or it was out of stock, and people kept asking me about this one and why I have not reviewed it yet. Keep in mind, I'm a big fan of the original scent, and I already own After Effects from French Avenue, which is a superb clone of a Side Effect, and I just didn't feel the need to get another clone of Side Effect. But since people kept asking, I finally bought Farah. I didn't have very high expectations, because sometimes Paris Corner as a clone brand can be a bit hit or miss. Some of their creations are, let's say, a bit strange and funky, so I didn't have very high expectations. But when I got Farah, I was actually really surprised by this fragrance, because in my opinion this even smells a little bit closer to the original fragrance than After Effects itself, which is widely regarded as the best clone of Side Effect. This is slightly less spicy, a little bit softer, a little bit more wearable in the opening. I know a lot of people don't like the opening of After Effect, and Farah actually takes care of those things, and this is a lot softer. It still has the spices, it still has the boozy note, it still has the tobacco and the vanillic sweetness and everything else. It just feels a little bit better blended in the opening. Maybe it doesn't project as strong as After Effect initially, but I think that can be a good thing, because it comes across around in the air just like having slightly higher quality, just the way that it's been made. Performance is good. I would not say not exactly on level with After Effect, but still getting close to After Effect and to the original fragrance from Initio as well. And also this I would say offers good projection as well, and all around for that's all that for a very acceptable price. At least around here, this pretty much costs on par with the same amount of money as After Effects. So you're looking at about maybe 35 to 40 euros, $40–45, which is still a lot less than Side Effect. And this also comes in a 100 milliliter bottle size, whereas After Effects, for example, is only 80 milliliters. And the last two fragrances that I've included in today's video both come from the brand of Armaf. Armaf have had some really good releases early on in 2025. The first one is part of the Lions Club, and it's called Rougir, and this fragrance is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Layton. Now, you've heard me saying this before, but I really like Layton a lot, and at this point I probably own like maybe 15 clones of Layton. I just never get tired of this scent DNA. And Armaf was the latest Middle Eastern brand to do their take on a Layton, clone, a Layton alternative, inspiration, call it whatever you want. And they done a really good job. Now again, just like many of the other clones featured in today's video, this is not exactly a one-to-one clone. This feels a little bit fruitier, a little bit sweeter, slightly less spicy and less green than the original fragrance, but that lasts for a few minutes, and then on its dry down, this actually gets very close to Layton itself, surprisingly close. Now, with the more this sits around, actually this starts to even get closer because it develops a little bit more spiciness in the opening and a little bit more greenness. But still, I would say this is slightly softer and sweeter take on Layton itself, but it's really good. And especially if you can get it at a price point that I got it for like 25 euros or something like that, or around about $30. At this sort of a mid-tier clone price point for a Layton clone, this is a really, I would say, a nice buy. Especially if you enjoy Layton itself. Good quality, performance is good, and again, all that for very acceptable price. And the last fragrance that I've included in today's video, again from the brand of Armaf, it's called Club de Nuit Lionheart, and this currently, in my opinion, is the best clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elixir that you can get. Also, probably the strongest clone of Le Male Elixir that you can get. I've been really impressed by Lionheart. Smelling very similar to the original fragrance, maybe even a little bit darker than the original, because the sort of that minty freshness, that the slight minty freshness that the original one has been toned down a little bit. This is maybe slightly sweeter, slightly darker and heavier in the opening. The dry down very similar to to the original fragrance. So it's sweet, it has tobacco, it has honey, it has vanilla, tonka bean. And it's a great scent profile, very popular at the moment. People like how this one smells, the original and Lionheart. And in my opinion, Lionheart right now is the best clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elixir that you can get. And again, just like Ruggieri, if you can find it for the right price point, I personally got it for around about 30 euros. At that price point, I think it's an absolute steal if you enjoy, Le Male Elixir. Just a great fragrance all around. And the other good thing about this one is that it's also very strong, lasts for a very long time and projects really nicely. The performance is almost on par with the original one from Jean-Paul Gaultier. So guys, in today's video I showed you 10 out of 10 clones. In other words, clones that are so good that if you have them, you don't really need to chase a bottle of the original fragrance. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like. And I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.